Hello, fellow Minnesotans. I'm going to be at the Capitol today from about 11 to 4. You're formally invited. I'm going to be speaking about these issues regarding state and federal law. And I'm just going to be going over the common sense uh, mentality that is not really being adhered to. It were as if common sense were a foreign concept. And there's a lot of people that are being harmed because of this lack of respect for common sense. Um, One of these problems that first comes to my head is this recent issue saying a civil rights group suing Iowa law that would allow police to arrest and deport some migrants. Well, the fact that there can even be a civil rights group to sue, mind you, um, on the behalf of something that should be common sense. If you're in a territory and people are coming into your territory without permission, and then not only are they coming to your territory without permission, they're committing crimes while coming into that territory without permission. Then they're harming children and women and men. By that I mean anything from the misusage of funding, the misusage of housing, the misusage of procreation, the misusage of human life. Basically, preying upon those within a territory, preying upon them, mind you, after they have not gotten any permission to come into that territory, and then basically joining some sort of civil rights group to sue. That means to basically get resources, to get funding, to be paid after they show up without permission to do these crimes, preying on citizens in order to use their resources without their permission, without the people's permission to use their resources, and then wreaking havoc. That's the crime part. They're doing things of which you and I, if we were to do, we would be sitting in prison or be dead. If you were to do these things of which these foreigners that don't speak the same language as you, they don't believe in the same cultural values as you, they're coming into your territory using so that's basically having a mouse in your house. A mouse comes into your house and welcomes himself to all the food. He welcomes himself to your bed. He welcomes himself to using all of the amenities, and he leaves little rat turds everywhere that he steps and that he goes. And then he has the nerve to the rat. This is a mouse or rat, whatever you want to call it. So a rat comes into your house. He's eating your food. He's in there making a sandwich. He's got on your robe. He's having little rat children with your children. He's leaving rat turds behind everywhere that he steps. All you see is a trail of rat turds. He's got the Netflix on. He's got your house slippers on. So then the rat, because you grab a baseball bat and you swing at the rat, but the rat refuses to leave. The rat then, he goes and gets a piece of cardboard or some shit. He writes on the fucking cardboard saying, "I'm suing," in his own language, in his rat language. "I'm suing, and you're going to pay me." This rat came into your home. He raped your kids. Now your kid's got little rat babies. He made himself a sandwich. He's got on your fucking robe. And now he's saying, this is my fucking home. And it's against my civil right for you to have a rat-free life. Now, the funny thing is that people will say, well, illegal immigration is perfectly acceptable because of all of the cheap labor and all that stuff. This is bullshit. The reason being is that there's plenty of people that are here already that will happily do the job for cheap or whatever. The fact that we have children that are continuing to be born by those who need alleged asylum, meaning that they could not safeguard themselves in their own territory. Many of them have children that they left behind in said territory. They're coming into this country, giving us headaches, stress, and problem. And people want to talk about how it's a racial discrimination. Well, where's the what is it called when a woman cannot have a say over what children she gets to make? When someone who doesn't speak her language can come into the country, rape her body, have it to where she births a child, and now the child is all of a sudden missing. And the one whose body was used to produce this child can go to jail or to prison for nothing other than taking care of their own fucking child. What on earth, I don't even know, shall we address you as Minnesota or America? What on earth, you guys, that it would be acceptable to endanger just about anybody's damn life? And this irrational way of thinking, whereas you're going to allow someone who does not respect your cultural values come into this country and be disrespectful, and then it makes it just that much more difficult to believe people when they're talking about civil rights, because if my civil rights are being violated in order for another person's to become fulfilled, even though I'm a fucking citizen, but I'm treated like I'm fucking goddamn, I don't know what country I done came from. America and Minnesota, you treat me like I am the most worthless goddamn demon in the whole goddamn galaxy. But you'll treat someone who contributes little to fucking nothing but grief, headache, and stress, and rat turds all over the fucking place. You'll treat them like they are the most valuable asset in the whole goddamn galaxy. Now, this is very strange and delusional. Here's my thing, America, Minnesota. Why would you prefer to allow someone who has a weapon in between their legs called a penis? Why would you let a foreigner that has a weapon in between his legs commence to making children in these United States, in Minnesota, in these United States? I'm very serious when I ask this question, because if they could not be men in their place of origin, and they're coming over here with their customs and their culture, and they've got children's lives being endangered, why is this acceptable? Why not, if you guys are very serious about so-called alleged, rights and stuff like that, when do we get to a place of women actually having her rights being at the forefront of those who, honestly, why would it matter that another male is kept like a fucking woman, like a wife, whereas his needs are put in the forefront? But as far as the man and a woman Man and woman, which is the natural way of procreating, natural selection and things of that nature. And no, we're not talking about racially. I'm very sick of this racial divide. No, 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 no. See, the issue here is that racial concept and these different dividing groups that are honestly illusionary. They're illusions, okay? Here's the thing. Man and woman, they have sex, they have children. Human beings have came up with the concept, this structural system of marriage, but yet for some odd reason, folks feel entitled, folks, especially foreigners and citizens, feel entitled to bypass that whole process of marriage, which has then created a loophole for extra human beings to be created. And this loophole really comes from the selfish interest of slavery. All right? Now, I'm actually pro-slavery, believe it or not. I believe that those who commit crimes against valuable members of any territory deserve to be enslaved as a means of being merciful. That means that for the dear old rapists and the dear old pedophiles and the dear old people that are violent and they know how to use their energy to be a hindrance and an obstacle for other people unwarrantedly. So they're doing these things, exerting a lot of energy doing these crimes and giving us grief. Those are the most prominent and honestly the most suitable slaves that anyone could ever have seen. Now, as far as common sense would say if a foreigner that has a weapon in between his legs is not an asset from the beginning, an asset from the beginning meaning that he's financially fit, he, resonates well with the cultural attitude and value system. He's someone who is more so, adaptive. He's not looking to basically bring these ideals to basically get others to conform to him, rather that he sees something of value already present in the territory of which he's going to. I'm very sick of this ideology that says, let me go into your territory without your permission to bring you my cultural values. Obviously, your cultural values were not that fucking awesome, considering that you had to go from here to there. Folks who cannot appropriate, they're not willing to learn English. Instead, they're willing to enslave children, all the while barking about how they're basically the cheap labor force, whatever. Look, I don't know why on earth women and men cannot be at the forefront of all of these issues. Because honestly, to me, I don't go out of my way to disparage those who are part of the LGBTQ or the trans whatever. That's none of my, it's not really my concern. But as far as rights go, sure, I'll vocalize and say something. If I see something that's out of place and wrong, that's what I'm gonna do. But with all respect to women, this whole thing is basically mocking us. We're being mocked at every turn of this whole thing. We're having men that we want to be with being murdered and nobody's saying a peep about it. We're having those who are ideally supposed to be husbands outsourcing their husbandry to folks who are not their wives. When you are a male calling the police, especially calling the police on women and children, and at this point it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, calling the police on women and children, what on earth are you doing having children or being what are you doing? being involved with women when you need to call the, you're calling the police for women walking down streets. You feel threatened as a male by a woman walking down the street because what, she has a certain color? She has a certain color because of the genocide that's going on, that's been happening on behalf of your states, allowing the integration of all sorts of whatever. Yes, your states. And then this whole idea, whereas we can divide people on the basis of color instead of dividing people on the basis of ideology and mentality. I don't feel that it is, it isn't. It's not an obligation of mine to bow down to and to basically be a subservient one to females. I'm not a lesbian. By design, I was created for man. By design. So that means that that's where my loyalty would be, but not everybody is presenting in this planet as man, as you can see based upon look at your movements.
We're going to my mom's.
What? When?
We're being forced
When and if you figure out
to
your shit, we
be
can
in
talk.
proximity to those
I can't worry about you anymore.
who are supportive
I can't wait out for you
and
anymore.
perpetuate
Walk through the
rape
door in one
culture
piece. You don't
by
text.
those who are
You don't
basically
call.
lawless.
You just assume
And you're
when you
telling
send
women and
information
children
about a rap will be
basically
honest.
to
I talk to Ray every day, Pam.
ignore
Call and help her
and
with her
disregard
homework for 15 minutes. That's
their
not
own
enough.
livelihood, their own safety, and their own preservation, and forego
Quit my job.
pretending as if she can
It's too late. I'm
be
serious this time. We're leaving.
free and liberated to be amongst those who have no regard for her body, for her sexual organs, and the agency of them,
Let me say goodbye to him?
and surpassing all of that of which she is inherent to be a recipient of, which is called selection, natural selection, consent, things of that nature. All of these are being sacrificed and never ever being introduced to begin with.
Everything okay there? She looked upset.
No marriage, no real relationships, excessive and frivolous, unnatural, disrespectful, just unhygienic, disease, alleged sex. It's just rape. All of this rape that's going on. All of this abuse that's going on. The normalization of it. The demonization and criminalization of women and girls who are being exploited, targeted, groomed, and then folks want to throw it under the umbrella of prostitution. You want to know who's due to reparations? Women. Women are. By and large, women. When men take on the concept of them being this hierarchical ranking individual, fine. But the issue becomes, there are those who protected women and there are those who did not. There are those who enslaved women, which they should not have. No man, unless that woman is a criminal, is fucking entitled to having a slave. That is, unless this is not a woman that we're talking about. Why would a man feel entitled to having women, the weaker sex, as his slave? No matter how she shows up. We show up with these traits because of the evident and irrefutable genocide that's going on. You can't tell us about 500 plus years of slavery and nobody having been able to really free us except for those who basically were told to separate from. That we came from originally, by the way. So there's a lot of issues I'm going to be discussing at the Capitol. You're welcome to come.
These guys. 6 people.
Yeah, I'll add some information down below and a way to contact me if you're interested in coming. All right. Bye.